Yeah, I'll just give you a background. I'm a regular from Orthodox, little young guy, and I saw your post with your video you did the other day, and you mentioned it briefly now. Yeah, no, you said why are what's this extreme focus from these anti-missionary rabbis shouldn't they be going after atheism? So I just want to say a few things. First of all, I do agree with you that it's apparent that atheism is a much bigger threat. The reason why these rabbis don't go after atheism is because they're totally ill-equipped to go after atheism. Rabbis, especially in Orthodox circles, are not trained in natural theology. They're not philosophically inclined. They have no training in the subject. They're not William Lane Craig or Ed Feser. They're not Christian apologists that have, didn't go to theological seminary to have this kind of background. And therefore, for them to defend the Torah from Christians is something that's in the wheelhouse.
I was in McCarver Hebrew Youth for 5 years. I also worked for an organization in Los Angeles called JAM, which is basically outreach Judaism on college campuses. Now, the outreach that's done on college campuses are done predominantly for atheistical, unaffiliated Jews, not Messianic Jews. They do confront atheists. Programs like Discovery, the books of like Lawrence Kellerman, they don't do it very successfully.
Right, but those can't go to bat nowadays.
Right.
Definitely not in the age of the internet.
Right. So nowadays it's different. So this is why I think that Kafira is worse than Avodah Zorah. In this sense, that in Eretz Yisrael, being that most Chilonim, they spit on anything religious, and there's no way. I mean, heck, the whole country was found to be communist, to be anti-religious. It would behoove us to let the Christians do whatever they want with them because we can't. And then once they become Christian or Messianic or adopt some of the mitzvahs, then it's easier to bring them the rest of the way. Even the Rambam considered Christianity and Islam in having redeemable qualities. He said that Hashem used these movements to nudge the world in the right direction. But regarding Kafira, he says nothing. So even though he considers Christianity a form of Avodah Zarah, and I believe that the Rambam was a Das Yachid in this area. Well, heck, even what he says in a tshuva, with it, it's mutter to teach Torah to Notrim and bring them to our belief system. Why? Because they already believe in part of it. So it's really a zchut in their end to have this basis. But to say whether we have more in common with atheists, I mean, our biggest enemies are from within. Communism, the whole Red Scare of the 20s, tore more Jews away from Yiddishkeit than Christianity ever did. That's my approach.
Right. Also, another reason why the anti-missionary rabbis just feel a proclivity to jump up and object is because it's one thing if atheism is a silent converter, it brings people in. People are on the edges, and then atheism pulls them in. But I don't see that there's atheist activism so much. Maybe in college or academic areas, but Christianity is not like that. They're more predatory. Do you agree?
Every college professor might as well be an atheistical missionary. It seems like that Jews are more likely to listen to their college professor than some missionary in the street. There isn't a war between Judaism and Christianity. It just doesn't exist. These kind of missionaries have made it up just to justify their large budgets. Okay, Jews for Judaism has nothing to do, spending all their days pulling Gentiles out of the church and bringing them into the Noahide movement, which is an idea that's not something they invented. It's something that Lubavitcher Rebbe made famous in the 60s. Even though the Rambam writes in Hilchos Malachim that this is a great thing to do, Jews never did it. Why? Because Hilchos Malachim is more a safer regarding what Yemas HaMashiach is not nowadays. Nowadays, we're still in Golos, okay, that we shouldn't be, like the 3:0 says, warring against the nations. That we should sort of be minding our business, but at the same time, encouraging Torah the best we can. But this notion that we have an obligation to secular Jews to begin with doesn't exist by Chazal, by the way. Okay, there's actually more mention. There's more mention by Chazal regarding Gerim than what's called a Choser B'Tshuvah. It just didn't exist. As a matter of fact, the whole notion mentioned by Yeshua ben Prachya of pushing someone away with one hand and bringing them close with the other is not with someone who believes in Christianity, but with someone who's deemed secular, where, in other words, yes, you bring them close, but you're still skeptical. With this notion that every secular Jew is a Tinok Shenishba is a notion that's hurt the Jewish people nowadays, because we think that every Jew is special. It's not true. Al Pi Halacha, it says in the first Siman of the Shulchan Aruch in Yoreh De'ah, whether they're Kikuti, whether they're Kegoy, a Mumar Lechachis, that basically a secular Jew, I mean, someone who's actively hating religion, atheistical Jews, are not Jews. And that we shouldn't think that they have the status of a religious Jew being targeted. Religious Jews are not targeted by Christians. You know why? Because no religious Jew would convert to Christianity. I mean, it just doesn't happen. Knowledgeable Jews don't convert to Christianity. They target secular Jews because they're easy targets, okay? But better a religious Christian than a secular anything.
Boom, mic drop.